The catalyst. The quantum arrays aboard the celestial research vessel, Horizon Dawn, detected the hegemony warships first. Dr. Elena Torres watched the holographic display with growing dread as 5 Predator-class destroyers emerged from hyperspace, their angular forms casting long shadows across the stellar observatory's sensor field. "They're not supposed to be here," she whispered, knowing exactly why they had come. The Horizon Dawn's breakthrough in quantum field manipulation would reshape the balance of power in the galaxy, if the hegemony didn't seize it first. The ship's AI highlighted a new signature approaching from the opposite vector. A single vessel, but its energy profile made Torres' heart skip a beat. The UES Artemis, humanity's most advanced destroyer, under the command of Admiral Sarah Chen. "This is Admiral Chen of the United Earth Fleet." The transmission cut through all frequencies, calm and measured. "Hegemony vessels, you are in violation of protected research space, as defined by Article 7 of the Galactic Concordat. Stand down and withdraw immediately." In the century since humanity had joined the Galactic Alliance, they had cultivated an image of cautious diplomacy. The hegemony's response made it clear they believed that image. "This is War Master Krell. Your single vessel is outnumbered, Admiral. The Horizon Dawn carries technology that threatens galactic stability. Stand aside or be destroyed with them." Torres watched the tactical display as the hegemony ships moved to surround the research vessel. The Artemis remained stationary, a lone guardian between predator and prey. When Chen's voice came again, there was something different in it. Not fear, but perhaps regret. "War Master, I'm transmitting my authorization codes now. Omega Protocol clearance level." A pause. "I suggest you check them carefully." The hegemony formation hesitated. Torres saw status indicators flicker as they processed the transmission. Then, impossibly, all 5 destroyers simultaneously powered down their weapons. Through the observatory window, she could see their running lights shift from combat red to standard blue. "Admiral Chen." War Master Krell's voice had lost its arrogance, replaced by carefully controlled fear. We were not informed this sector fell under Omega Protocol. We withdraw immediately. No violation of the Concordat was intended." As the hegemony ships retreated into hyperspace, Torres felt her hands shaking. In all her years of research, she had never seen hegemony forces back down. Not from anyone. The Artemis maintained its position until the last enemy signature vanished from sensors. "Dr. Torres." Chen's transmission was directed to her now. "Your research is too important to risk. The Artemis will escort you to Earth. It seems we have much to discuss about the true nature of quantum field manipulation." But they never reached Earth. The Galactic Alliance Council was waiting at the jump gate, their own warships surrounding the Artemis and Horizon Dawn. The charges were read across all frequencies. Admiral Sarah Chen stood accused of threatening hegemony forces with unauthorized weaponry, violating the technological development treaties that had allowed humanity to join the Alliance. As Alliance peacekeepers boarded the Artemis, Chen offered no resistance. She smiled at Torres as they led her away in quantum-locked restraints. "Remember what you saw today, Doctor. Remember that they backed down. The rest will become clear soon enough." Torres did remember. She remembered as she testified at Chen's trial, trying to explain how the Admiral had saved her ship without firing a shot. She remembered as the Alliance Council dismissed all evidence of hegemony aggression. And she remembered, most clearly of all, the moment she understood what Chen's smile had meant. The Admiral had known. She had known her actions would lead to her arrest. Known the trial would be a sham. Known that her execution would finally give humanity the justification it needed to unveil what they had spent a century building in secret. As Torres watched Chen being led to her cell, she caught a glimpse of the Admiral's personal datapad. On its screen, a simple message blinked. Omega Protocol Stage 1. Complete. The real war was about to begin. Silent preparations. High Counselor Ven of the Galactic Alliance stood at the window of his private chambers, watching the endless stream of ships flowing through the quantum lanes above New Geneva. His third eye twitched, a sign of agitation his species couldn't suppress, as he reviewed the latest intelligence reports on his neural feed. A century of human membership in the Alliance, he muttered to his aide, and we still can't get accurate readings on their production capabilities. The aide, a young Meridian whose crystalline form sparkled in the starlight, pulled up a holographic display. The humans continue to provide all required industrial output data, High Counselor. Their shipyards operate within agreed parameters. Their technology development follows expected trajectories. Too perfectly. Ven's primary tentacles coiled in frustration. No variance. No anomalies. No mistakes. It's as if they're showing us exactly what we expect to see. The display shifted to footage from Admiral Chen's holding cell. The human sat in perfect meditation, her silver-streaked black hair framing a face that showed neither fear nor anger. For 3 months, she had maintained this serenity, speaking only to reject the Council's offers of leniency in exchange for information about Omega Protocol. The trial begins tomorrow, the aide noted. Our analysts expect her to finally break under formal questioning. A priority alert flashed across Ven's neural feed. His third eye widened as he processed the data. This can't be right. Check the deep space monitoring arrays. All of them. The aide's crystalline surface clouded with confusion as they accessed the network. Sir, we're detecting gaps, moments where whole sectors of space seem to just disappear from our sensors. But it's random, no pattern. There is a pattern, Ven interrupted, his scientific training finally breaking through his political conditioning. Plot the gaps against standard human trade routes, against their colony positions, against their... He fell silent as the holographic display filled with overlapping data points. The gaps weren't random at all. They formed a vast web across Alliance space, centered on human territories, but extending far beyond them. Each gap lasted precisely 2.47 seconds, just short enough to be dismissed as routine sensor fluctuation. How long has this been happening? Ven demanded. The aide's response chilled him. According to the archives, approximately 98 years, since shortly after humanity joined the Alliance. In her cell, Admiral Chen smiled, as if she could sense the ripples of realization spreading through the Alliance leadership. She opened her eyes and spoke for the first time in weeks, her words recorded by the cell's monitors. A wise commander once said that the greatest victory is the battle not fought. Humanity didn't spend a century preparing for war, High Counselor. We spent it preventing one. But you're about to change that, aren't you? Ven watched the sensor gaps pulse across the display, like a heartbeat only now becoming audible. What have they been building out there? He whispered. What have we missed? The answer came from an unexpected source. Dr. Elena Torres, under house arrest since the incident, had finally decoded the quantum field readings from the moment the hegemony ships had backed down. Her findings, transmitted to every scientific institute in Alliance space, were revolutionary. The Artemis hadn't carried unauthorized weapons that day. It had demonstrated control over space-time itself. The hegemony ships hadn't powered down voluntarily. For 2.47 seconds, they had existed in a localized time dilation where a century would have passed, just long enough to receive and verify Chen's codes. Omega Protocol isn't a weapons system, Torres' report concluded. It's a fundamental rewriting of physics as we understand it, and humanity has spent 100 years weaving it through the fabric of Alliance space, hiding the components in plain sight as routine infrastructure, trade ships, even the quantum lanes themselves. As Ven read the report, his third eye fixed on the date of humanity's joining the Alliance. They had been technological infants then, barely able to achieve faster-than-light travel, or so everyone had thought. Cancel the trial, he ordered suddenly. Release Chen immediately. We need tow. I'm afraid it's too late for that. His aide interrupted, their crystalline form vibrating with alarm. The Council has just voted. Admiral Chen's execution is scheduled for tomorrow at dawn. They say we need to make an example, to show humanity that their deception will not be tolerated. In her cell, Chen closed her eyes again, resuming her meditation. But now she was speaking, barely a whisper, but picked up by the monitors. Omega Protocol Stage 2. Complete. May whatever gods exist have mercy on what comes next. The quantum lanes above New Geneva continued to pulse with ships, each one carrying its piece of a 100-year puzzle that was about to solve itself in fire. The turning point. Dawn on New Geneva painted the execution grounds in shades of amber and gold. The quantum containment field hummed softly, its iridescent walls containing the platform where Admiral Sarah Chen stood, still wearing her United Earth Fleet uniform. The silver stars on her collar caught the light of 3 rising suns. The gathered diplomats and officials of the Galactic Alliance shifted uncomfortably in their observation pods. Something about Chen's demeanor, her straight spine, her calm smile, her eyes that seemed to look beyond the present moment, made them feel like spectators in a play whose ending they didn't understand. Admiral Sarah Chen, the automated justice system, began its final proclamation. You have been found guilty of violating Section 17 of the Alliance Charter, the unauthorized deployment of restricted technology. The sentence is terminal dissolution. Do you wish to offer any final words? Chen's voice carried clearly across the grounds, transmitted to every corner of Alliance space. A century ago, humanity looked to the stars and saw something beautiful, the promise of a united galaxy, of civilizations working together toward common goals. We still believe in that promise. She paused, her smile deepening. We just disagree on how to achieve it. High Counselor Ven, watching from the primary observation pod, felt his third eye pulse with warning. Stop the execution, he whispered, then louder. Stop it now. Final statement recorded. The justice system continued implacably. Initiating dissolution sequence. The quantum field around Chen began to shimmer, its energies building toward the moment of molecular dispersal. She closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and said one last thing. Omega Protocol Stage 3. Execute. The field activated. For exactly 2.47 seconds, nothing happened. Then every quantum communication system in Alliance space activated simultaneously. Every screen, every neural feed, every holographic display showed the same image. A stylized phoenix rising from stars, the symbol of the United Earth Fleet. A new voice filled the airways, young and clear. This is Captain Diana Chen, daughter of Admiral Sarah Chen, commanding the UES Phoenix Dawn. To all Alliance forces, what you are about to witness is not an act of war. It is a demonstration of justice. The quantum field around Admiral Chen flickered and died. Where she had stood, there was now only empty air, but the molecular scan showed no trace of dissolution. She hadn't been executed. She had simply moved. Impossible, someone in the crowd whispered. The containment field was absolute. Their words were cut off as the sky above New Geneva transformed. Ships began appearing, not dropping out of hyperspace or emerging from quantum lanes, but simply transitioning into existence as if they had been there all along, hidden behind veils of twisted space-time. They were human vessels, but unlike any the Alliance had ever seen. Their hulls seemed to bend light around them, their forms suggesting movement even when stationary. There were hundreds of them, thousands, an armada that had grown in secret while humanity showed the galaxy only what it wanted to be seen. 100 years ago, Diana Chen's voice continued, humanity made a choice. We could have used our understanding of quantum mechanics to dominate the galaxy. Instead, we chose to wait, to watch, to hope that the Alliance would grow beyond its fear of change. Today, you prove that hope misplaced. The new ships took position around every major Alliance installation, every military base, every seat of power. Not firing, not threatening, simply present, in numbers that should have been impossible. But we never planned to conquer. The voice softened, Even now, our goal is preservation, transformation, the birth of something better. A flash of light at the center of the execution grounds. Admiral Sarah Chen stood there once more, now wearing a different uniform, sleek black with silver trim, bearing insignia no one in the Alliance had ever seen. The quantum dissolution field worked exactly as designed, she announced to the stunned crowd. It did dissolve something. The illusion that humanity was merely one more junior member of your alliance. We are your children no longer. It's time for the next lesson to begin. Above them, more ships continued to appear, each one a testament to a century of patience, of planning, of technology developed in parallel with what the Alliance thought they knew. Not weapons of war, but instruments of change. Omega Protocol was never about military victory, Admiral Chen said, walking calmly through the crowd toward her daughter's ship. It was about creating a moment, this moment, when the old order would face its own reflection and find it wanting. As the sun rose fully over New Geneva, the true scope of humanity's achievement became clear. They hadn't built a fleet in secret. They had built an entirely new way of existing in spacetime, woven through the quantum fabric of the galaxy itself. The revolution wouldn't be fought with weapons. It had already been won, one hidden advance at a time. Over 100 years of careful preparation. All that remained was to show the galaxy what humanity had become and what they offered to those willing to embrace change. The phoenix rose, and with it, the dawn of a new age began. Unveiled force. The Galactic Alliance's Central Command Center was in chaos. Emergency signals flooded every channel as reports poured in from across known space. High Commander Zenaval, her crystalline form pulsing with stress patterns, tried to make sense of the cascade of information. Status report, she demanded, her voice cutting through the panic. Her second-in-command, a veteran Arcturian named Krell, pulled up the main strategic display. Human ships have appeared in every major system simultaneously. They're not using conventional FTL methods. They're simply phasing into existence. Our sensors can't track their movements. The display showed Alliance space as a web of light, each point representing a major military installation or population center. Human vessels surrounded them all, their positions forming complex geometric patterns that seemed to pulse with hidden meaning. Are they attacking? Zenaval asked, though she already knew the answer. No, Commander. Krell paused, puzzled. They're reformatting our quantum communication networks. Every system they touch undergoes some kind of fundamental transformation. Our weapons systems remain functional, but they're being integrated into something larger. A new hologram materialized in the center of the command deck. Admiral Sarah Chen and her daughter stood side by side, their images perfectly clear despite the distance. This is a courtesy transmission to all Alliance military forces, the elder Chen announced. Please observe carefully. It's time you understood what humanity has actually been building. The strategic display shifted, layers peeling away to reveal something that had been hidden within the structure of Alliance space itself. Throughout the centuries of human membership, every trade route they established, every communication relay they installed, every seemingly routine infrastructure project had been part of something greater. We didn't build a secret fleet, Diana Chen explained, her voice carrying the same calm authority as her mother's. We built a new operating system for reality itself. Your quantum networks, your FTL lanes, your very understanding of physics, they're all just subsets of what's possible. As if to demonstrate, the human ships began to move. Not through space, but with space, the fabric of reality rippling around them like water. Distance became meaningless. Time became flexible. In the Centauri sector, an Alliance battle group attempted to engage one of the human vessels. Their weapons passed through empty space as the ship existed simultaneously in multiple locations, probability itself becoming a tool of defense. Your civilizations have treated spacetime like an immutable canvas. Admiral Chen continued. We saw it as code waiting to be rewritten. Every human ship, every piece of technology we've shown you over the past century was deliberately obsolete, a carefully maintained fiction while we worked on the real project. Zenaval watched as her command center's quantum core began to pulse with new energy. The changes weren't hostile. They were transformative. Systems she had worked with for decades revealed capabilities she had never imagined possible. We could have used this technology to dominate, Diana added softly. Instead, we're using it to elevate. Every system we're modifying is being upgraded, not destroyed. The choice of whether to accept these changes remains yours. A junior officer called out in surprise as new data streamed across his console. Commander, I'm seeing. These modifications, they're not just improving our systems. They're opening up entirely new aspects of quantum physics. It's like we've been reading a two-dimensional manual for a three-dimensional reality. Across Alliance space, the pattern repeated. Humanity's ships didn't need to fire a single shot. Their mere presence, their manipulation of fundamental forces, demonstrated a level of advancement that made traditional military power obsolete. A century ago, Admiral Chen's voice carried a note of something like maternal pride. Humanity looked at the Alliance and saw not what it was, but what it could become. Everything since then, every diplomatic gesture, every technological exchange, every seemingly minor request for infrastructure access, was preparation for this moment. The strategic display now showed the full scope of human achievement. They hadn't just built ships or weapons. They had constructed a vast metamaterial computer using the quantum structure of space itself. Every human colony, every trade route, every diplomatic mission had been placing and activating pieces of this grand design. You thought you were watching us develop, Diana concluded. In reality, you were participating in the largest engineering project in galactic history. The only question that remains is, are you ready to help us finish it? As if to punctuate her words, the human ships began a new movement. The geometric patterns they formed shifted, and with them, the very nature of space around them changed. The galaxy was about to transform, not through violence, but through the patient, inexorable power of human ingenuity. The revolution wouldn't be fought with weapons. It had already been won, encoded in the quantum fabric of reality itself, one carefully planned step at a time. All that remained was to help the galaxy understand what it had become part of, whether it knew it or not. Dawn of change. The great hall of the former Galactic Alliance hummed with a new kind of energy. 3 months had passed since the day of Admiral Chen's failed execution, and representatives from every spacefaring civilization had gathered to witness the culmination of humanity's century-long project. Dr. Elena Torres stood at the central podium, her hand steady as she manipulated the holographic controls. The quantum field projectors, no longer disguised as simple communication relays, cast their light across the assembled delegates. For 100 years, she began, humanity showed you what you expected to see, a young species learning to navigate galactic politics. But we were teaching as much as learning. Every technological advance we shared was a piece of a larger lesson. The hologram expanded to fill the hall, showing the true nature of human quantum engineering. The trade routes, the colonies, the seemingly routine infrastructure, all of it formed part of a vast neural network written into the structure of space-time itself. We didn't build this network to control the galaxy, Admiral Sarah Chen added, standing beside her daughter Diana. We built it to help the galaxy control itself. High Counselor Ven, watching from his position among the delegates, finally understood. It's not a weapon, he whispered. It's not even just a new technology. It's an evolutionary step. Diana Chen nodded. Every species in this hall has something unique to offer. The Meridian's crystalline computing, the Arcturian's gravity manipulation, the Hegemony's energy systems, all brilliant achievements in isolation. But isolation was the problem. The hologram shifted again, showing how human quantum engineering had created bridges between these different technologies, These different ways of understanding reality. They hadn't just advanced their own science. They have found ways to make every species' achievements work together. The old alliance was built on fear of difference. Admiral Chen continued. Fear that one species' advancement would threaten others. Fear that led to suppression, to stagnation, to the kind of thinking that would execute an officer for daring to demonstrate something new. A murmur ran through the crowd as she gestured, and the quantum field surrounding them pulsed with possibility. Every delegate could feel it. Their neural feeds, their technological interfaces, their very understanding of physics expanding as humanity's network activated fully for the first time. But fear is a choice, Diana added. And today, we offer a different choice. Dr. Torres initiated the final sequence. Throughout Alliance space, the hidden quantum network awakened fully. But instead of the chaos some had feared, there was harmony. Every species' technology, every unique approach to science and engineering, began to resonate together in ways that had never been possible before. This is what we spent a century building, Admiral Chen explained. Not a weapon to destroy the old order, but a foundation for something new. A way for all of us to advance together, each contributing our unique perspectives to a greater whole. The former hegemony War Master Krell, who had once faced Chen's ship above the Horizon Dawn, rose from his seat. You could have used this to dominate us all, he said, his voice carrying a mix of awe and understanding. Instead, you spent 100 years finding ways to help us work together. Because domination was never the goal, Diana replied. Evolution was. Growth. Change. The kind that only comes when different perspectives combine to create something greater than their sum. As if to demonstrate, the quantum field shifted again. Delegates gasped as they saw their own technologies in a new light, understanding how they could interface with others in ways they had never imagined possible. The barriers between different approaches to physics, to computing, to energy, all began to dissolve. The network is self-organizing now, Torres announced. Each species, each world, each individual can contribute to its growth. We provided the foundation. The rest will be up to all of us, working together. Admiral Chen smiled, the same smile she had worn at her execution, but now everyone understood its meaning. It wasn't defiance or secret knowledge, it was hope. Hope in what different species could achieve together, once they moved past fear. 100 years ago, she said, humanity looked to the stars and saw potential, not just for technological advancement, but for genuine cooperation. Everything since then, every diplomatic mission, every technical exchange, every carefully planned step, was about creating this moment, not an ending, but a beginning. The quantum field pulsed one final time, and with it, the nature of galactic civilization changed forever. Not through force or dominance, but through the patient, deliberate work of a species that had spent a century proving that the greatest power lies not in weapons or control, but in finding ways to help others grow. As the delegates began to explore the possibilities of their new interconnected reality, Diana Chen looked at her mother. Was it worth it? She asked softly. All the years of hiding, of playing the junior species, of letting them think they knew what we were. Sarah Chen watched as representatives from once hostile species began sharing ideas, their technologies resonating in harmony through the quantum network. Look at them, she replied. They're not afraid anymore. They're curious, excited, ready to explore together. She touched the Admiral's stars on her collar, symbols of an authority that now meant something very different. That's what Omega Protocol was really about. Not changing the galaxy by force, but creating the conditions for the galaxy to change itself. Above them, through the Great Hall's transparent dome, the stars shone with new possibility. Humanity's greatest achievement hadn't been their mastery of quantum physics or their strategic patience. It had been their ability to see past the fear and isolation that had defined galactic society, to imagine something better, and then spend a century making that imagination real. The dawn of a new age had truly begun, not with a revolution of weapons, but with a revolution of understanding. And in the quantum harmony that now connected all spacefaring species, the future held possibilities that none of them, not even humanity, could fully predict. That was exactly as it should be.